Welcome to The Debate. Today we're digging into the claims surrounding the new AI media generator platform. It's being marketed pretty heavily, actually, as this genuinely privacy-first, decentralized alternative to the usual big tech AI services.
Right. And the core question we're wrestling with is, does its use of, well, pretty standard web security and user management fundamentally undermine that core marketing message? The promise of a truly private, authentication-free space.
Exactly. I'll be arguing that the platform's self-hosted hardware and its open-source nature really do give it an ethical edge.
And I'll be arguing that some of those specific back-end features directly contradict that promise of radical privacy.
So my position is that the unique value here it really rests on its physical foundation. We're talking dedicated local hardware, specifically the Nvidia RTX 57 Ti, using the Blackwell architecture and a deployment model that's explicitly designed for no data harvesting. There's also a clear commitment to open-source models like Stable Video Diffusion, SVD, that ensures users fully own their content. This whole setup, I believe, creates a genuine trusted sanctuary, effectively bypassing the surveillance you get with corporate clouds like Google Vertex or AWS SageMaker.
Okay, I understand the argument about the hardware. It's certainly powerful, but that kind of sidesteps the immediate structural issue, doesn't it? The platform says no authentication walls, but then the architecture reports themselves show something different. They explicitly mention mandatory JWT token authentication. These are basically security tokens managing your session identity, plus a standard login form, a registration form, password hashing. This whole structure is centralized management. The server is actively tracking who's accessing what. And this contradiction is just inescapable when you look closer. It's not just the login. The UI reports detail mandatory steps like email verification. There's even a warning that unverified accounts expire after 1 hour. How can you really market an authentication-free sanctuary when submitting credentials and time-sensitive verification are baked right into the user experience? It seems contradictory.
Well, I'd argue you're maybe focusing too much on what are essentially standard operational necessities. Any public web application needs features like that to prevent abuse, like bots overwhelming the system, and just maintain basic stability. The core privacy advantage isn't about avoiding logins entirely, it's hardware-based. It's the dedicated local performance of that RTX 5070 Ti and the Blackwell architecture. That ensures the actual creative work, the generation itself, happens privately. It's free from external metering or, commercial data harvesting during the creation process itself.
That's a fair point about the local generation for some tasks. But what about the platform's overall independence? I mean, for the more complex stuff like chat and storyboarding, the platform explicitly uses that huge 235 billion parameter Cerebras Qwen 3 model. And the source material itself labels this critical piece as cloud-powered. Doesn't introducing an external cloud dependency for a core feature like advanced chat kind of compromise that purely self-hosted ideal you're highlighting? And let's be really precise about the monitoring aspect too. The platform uses security features like security logging, rate limiting, even Google reCAPTCHA integration, all to prevent bot abuse, right? But these measures, by definition, have to analyze and monitor user behavior to even function. How does that square with the promise of no tracking or behavioral profiling? It feels like tracking, even if it's for a different purpose.
Okay, but it's crucial to distinguish the kind of monitoring. Yes, they're security logging. These are, I'd argue, non-negotiable necessities for stability and fairness, especially while it's in a free beta. They exist to enforce practical limits, like the hourly caps, 5 tasks for text to video, 30 for chat, and just block malicious actors. It's about resource management and preventing abuse. That is fundamentally distinct, I believe, from the kind of extensive commercial telemetry that big tech uses, where the entire point is gathering behavioral data for monetization and ad targeting. Different purpose, different scope. So ultimately, I still see this platform as a vital, ethical alternative. Why? Because its open source foundation and that dedicated local hardware deliver on the really critical things: genuine content ownership and powerful local performance. The security measures are just, well, the practical realities of running a service reliably on the internet today.
I suppose I see it differently.
The actual implementation tells a story, I think, about the limits of idealism here. It shows that even platforms trying for radical privacy find themselves needing to adopt significant chunks of traditional centralized architecture, authentication, user logging, even cloud dependencies for those really big models. They seem necessary just to function securely and reliably at scale. And that really challenges this whole notion of a perfectly decentralized AI revolution, doesn't it?
Yeah, and perhaps that just illuminates the inherent tension, the complex trade-offs that exist between striving for absolute user privacy on one hand and the real-world engineering necessities of maintaining a secure, performant, and usable service on the other. There's clearly a balance to be struck.